Back now to our coverage of the New Hampshire primary. The latest numbers, again, you see the red check mark next to Donald Trump's name. 53% for him right now, 46% from Nikki Haley, who moments ago took to the stage to congratulate the former president on his victory in New Hampshire. We can also pop up the Democratic numbers. Of course, very strange this time around, as the president is not on the ballot, as the Democrats are sort of shunning New Hampshire in favor of South Carolina because New Hampshire decided that it was going to stay as its first in the nation primary moniker. For that reason, it's all write-in votes, but both CBS News and the Associated Press both declaring Biden the victor in New Hampshire. Yeah, and 7 members of the president's cabinet have been in New Hampshire over the past week, so he definitely has had a presence there, sort of by proxy. Want to bring John Keller back in with our experts again tonight. John, although the former president says he doesn't care who's in the race, that he's confident that he is going to win, he has to be eager to wrap this up. So the idea that he moves out of New Hampshire and into the next phase of this battle without being the single candidate has to be a point of frustration.
Definitely. He was hoping for the knockout punch here. I was surprised at the extent to which he wound up showing up in New Hampshire down the stretch. And I'll tell you, being up in Manchester all day, the media center there at the Doubletree Hotel was swarming with Trump surrogates, making the rounds heavily in a last-ditch effort here. But I want to turn to my guests here, Amy Carnevale, chairman of the Mass Republican Party, Steve Kerrigan, chairman of the Mass Democrats. Let's start with you, Amy. What did you make of Nikki Haley's speech?
Well, it was certainly a very strong speech. It was one of the strongest that I think I've seen her give in quite some time. It's clear to me that she's in the race, at least through South Carolina. Of course, candidates sometimes say that and then they're out, but from the tone of her voice, I think she's into South Carolina. And it's early. This is the second state to vote, so we have a long ways to go. And certainly she's worked hard, and she deserves the opportunity to continue to campaign and compete for votes.
She hit the age issue hard. She's been talking about that, but she really hit it in that speech, and she issued a debate dare to the president. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, Donald Trump is essentially running as the incumbent president, and he's in the lead. So he has very little to lose by not debating. So I think you'll continue to see Donald Trump appeal directly to the voters.
Steve, take off your party hat, put on your tactician hat.
Yeah.
What do you make of her, first of all, coming down so fast? Yeah. And what did you make of the tone and content of that speech?
Well, for coming down fast was surprising but smart. Like you heard the gap and their votes are likely only to widen a little bit. I don't know where it's going to end, but come down when you're only a few points behind. And frankly, say hello to your voters and get on a plane.
If you don't mind me spilling the beans while we were watching it, you said if you were in the room with Trump, you'd send him out halfway through that speech.
Halfway through her speech.
To step on it, yeah.
But what I thought about her speech, it was, I agree with Amy, it was a good speech if you're just using a tactical hat.
Yeah.
Obama made me think of Obama in Iowa in 2008, not because it was as good, because it wasn't nearly as good, but they basically gave they wrote one speech for Iowa and changed the beginning to whether he won or he lost. Okay. And that's exactly what she did. She had a message, whether she won today or lost, how long she won or lost, and she delivered it really, really well. Although I loved her line about New Hampshire's first, not last. Yeah. But what struck me was something that she should probably remember over and over again and say to herself: you can't fix the mess if you don't win an election. Yeah. So far, she's lost 2 elections. The chances of her winning in South Carolina, the chances of her winning on Super Tuesday are slim to none. So she's right. You can't fix the mess if you can't win an election. She has shown an inability to win an election.
Is that as a tactical matter? Do you agree with that, Amy? Is Steve right about that?
Certainly at some point she does need to start to win elections. Yeah. That's critical.
You don't get any...
That's critical. Ultimately, though, the donors will really decide how long she can stay in this. It costs a lot to campaign and run a presidential election. So as long as donors are willing to support her, I think she'll stay in the race.
That's what they say. There's 2 things that kill a campaign. You either run out of time or you run out of money. And she's set a time barrier of February 23rd when the South Carolina primary happens. If she still has money, she'll do all right there, but her state is not with her on this one. So this is basically, I know she doesn't like the idea of a coronation in the United States, but Donald Trump is going to be the nominee of that party.
Well, I got to send it back to the anchor desk, but super quickly, Amy, do you see anywhere in the upcoming map of primaries and caucuses that kind of matches the makeup of New Hampshire, where Haley might prosper?
Yeah, you know, so it's hard to see. We actually have a caucus coming up in Nevada. We've not talked about that.
Right.
And from what I hear in my contacts in Nevada, that's pretty well wired for Donald Trump. So I think we'll see Donald Trump win that caucus. And then we also have Michigan coming up, too. So perhaps that's a state that she could compete in Michigan. And then again, Super Tuesday.